Welcome, family and friends. Mike Corsi with CorsIcan, do anything I put my mind to. As you can tell, I'm back at my storage unit. So to start off the video, I did buy a new cover for my boat, but I want to give a review on it. I want to show you guys what I love about it, what I don't like about it, and how I'm going to winterize my boat. So I'm going to turn the camera around. So there you go. I got the boat right there. I got to turn around my truck and hook onto it. I do know I already have an issue with it. It's not something that I screwed up. It's not something that's wrong with the canvas. I actually had all the canvases on there and they blew off. The buttons are all broken. I need to go and get those all replaced and repaired. But until then, I got this canvas, this boat cover, and I'm really impressed with it, and I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to climb up top there and show you exactly what I like about it and what I'm going to be dealing with. I might take you for a ride as well, strap you onto the front of the boat as I drive out of here, just so you guys can see what I'm dealing with trying to knock off there. So let's get to it and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, here we are at the back of the boat. So first thing I've noticed was my strap right here is broken off, and that actually had a plastic piece that was hooked on right here. I can put just a regular shackle back on that, or a carabiner, and be able to fix that. So I'm not too worried about that, but what I'm concerned about, where I think it got screwed up, is climb up here and show you. It has allowed a lot of water to pool up inside there. It is frozen over, as you can see a little bit on the surface, so it's definitely time to start winterizing it, but I need to get that water out of the boat. So I'm gonna probably strap you on the front end of the boat up there and have the video camera recording back this way as I'm driving out of here. That way you guys can see how I fling it out of here, clean that out, so I don't have to go home and put a pump in there or siphon it out of there. Just one of my easy fixes that I've always done. But this cover, as you can tell, with having holding water like that, very watertight. I'm really impressed with that. There's not very much on the outside rim right there where it's reduced down from evaporation, so I know it's not leaking into my boat. It's just sitting. I got to get rid of it. So let me get that hooked up and take you guys for a ride. All right, now that I got the camera strapped to the front of the boat, hopefully you guys are able to hear me with my wireless microphone. I'm just going a little slow through the neighborhood here. I mean, you want to respect your neighbors for sure. But I wanted to make sure that that camera's going to stay on there. This is usually the point where I would state, don't worry, Shay, I'll clean it up or fix it, but it is her camera, so I'm in trouble if this falls off. I strapped it down pretty good with some ratchet straps and my tripod, so hopefully it holds on pretty good as we get going. I'm, like I said, just going slow through the neighborhood, making sure that it's not moving too much, but once I get on the main road, I'm gonna have to pull over after I whip out that water out of the top of the boat and retrieve my camera. I just don't wanna drive all the way home with it on there, but just for fun sakes, I just wanted to take you guys along and show you how I whip it out. Hey kids, if all of a sudden I disappear because the camera's gone, hopefully mom has a contingency plan for us, or at least for you guys. I'll be gone. Got up to the main street. I'm going to make sure that I have a wide berth, plenty of room, just in case something does go wrong here. So it looks like that guy's gonna turn. We're gonna go for it. And as I get turning here, here's where we go. That got all my water out. I'll go check that as soon as I get my camera down, and we'll take you guys to the house and I'll show you the rest of the process and my review on this cover. All right, not as much as I wanted. I'm gonna just continue doing that as I'm driving through, but it did a big portion of it. I'm just gonna take my camera down though. All right guys, so I'm back at it here. I had to stop and get some groceries on the way home. I had to, of course, drive around and whip out some of that water. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to take this off and push the rest of that water out. There's a little bit left in there. There's not too much, but at the same time, there really isn't that much in there. Put my gloves on a little early here. All right, I got to do this. Of course, Shay, put my hair on. All right, she always asks me to do that. She definitely just texted me and told me to put my hair on for today, being out in the sun. You want to be cautious of melanoma and all that, sun radiation. There we go. That's why I did it. And I'm putting on my PPE. Got my sunglasses, of course. Always gonna have those trademarked. And then I have my gloves. So let me unlock the front end of this, and I'm gonna go inside and try to push that water out without having to siphon it out. All right, now that I got that exposed, deals with claustrophobia. Maybe don't do this, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna crawl in the bow of the boat here. I got a little exposure here. I'm gonna go down inside and try to push that off before I release the tension off the rest of these. So that way I can get that to push the water out where it's being held in there. I'm really hoping you guys just saw that water fall out of there and you can still hear me. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create that same scenario when I go forward on winterizing this to keep everything from cooling back up once again when I get this winterized and ready to be stored away for winter. All right, I did find there is some water inside. I thought there wasn't gonna be any in there. There's a little bit of pooling on the bench in there. Let me get you guys set up in the front of the boat here. Looking to the back. I'm gonna show you how I go through and winterize this. At the same time, I gotta clean that up. So I'll just go ahead and get you guys set up here. All right, now that I got the canopy up. So what I'm seeing right now is there's a pool of water on that bench. There's a little bit of splash here. There's leaves in here, funny enough. I wouldn't have expected leaves to be in here, but my carpet from probably about 3/4 of it is pretty wet. So I'm gonna pull that up, get that out of here so I can get that to start drying off. I can always scrub and clean this after that's out of there. All right. Now that that's gone, I don't know if I wanna lift that up. I wanna soak that up and wring it out. There is definitely a little bit more water leakage than what I would like to see here, but for the most part, this is normal for this boat with the canvas that comes on it with the buttons and that. Continue cleaning some of this up. I got some towels here saturated pretty good. They probably helped out a lot, but there is actually a product you can put in the bottom of your boat that will wick up all the water and moisture down in the holes. I have another compartment, ski compartment underneath here. I have, of course, your benches, your engine compartment. That engine compartment is bone dry, funny enough. So nothing's really making its way down into the bottom hole, but it's staying up here and where all this side compartments are. So I want to tackle that and get that cleaned up right now, and then I'll take you guys and show you how I start winterizing this. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build an A-frame, kind of like a sawhorse. I'm gonna put a 2x4 at the front, 2x4 at the back, build an A-frame in the middle of it. Of course, you got your A-frame going in the middle, and then a little strut or a trellis at the very top to be able to support that, and that's going to hold that canopy up and off of the boat. So every time it hits water on here, it slough it off onto the sides, and it won't allow it to pool down inside here. I do have a blue, I'm not sure what it is. I bought it 3 years ago. I've tried it once. I'm gonna maybe try it one more time and see if it works. But it's the tarp that goes over top, and you use a weed blower to shrink it all up and make it all cinched up and tight. I just don't want to damage that canvas because I've actually been pretty good about that. So I've got a few things to do here. I'm just gonna start cleaning and getting this to where I want it to be stored. That way when I'm done, we can just kick it on and run. Secondly, let's just see if the boat fires up. That seat's dry. Might as well sit down, and I heard that. More power. Let's go. Prime it twice. Gas it too quick. Okay, I don't have water hooked up at the back of the transom, so I don't want to run it too long. It just barely kicked on. Not worried about it overheating running this long, but I don't want to run it too much longer. I'm looking at all my gauges, making sure everything's working. Everything looks great. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up and see what we need to do from here. I'll call you guys back here in a minute. Something I wanted to point out, paper towels over here, cutlery, and of course, paper bags. They're all dry on this side. So everything seems to be sloughed on this side. So I wonder if the boat's just not sitting right on the trailer. Then everything's wanting to slough off on that side and pull up on that side. So I'm gonna take a look at that when we get there. Those part of the Gridiron Copper Hills football team know that I like to wring out my towels pretty tight. Doing that car wash, we had a lot of towels, but we had to wring them out pretty hard. Watch your feet for a second. Don't fall over on me. All right, that's usually where all my water pools down into. And Shay, you can attest to this one. We get probably a good portion of water during the storms, even with our regular canvases that hook on around the windows and around the frame. It's dry down there. So I think I figured out the problem down there, but it's still sloughing off to this one side, which I'm okay with. That can be cleaned up, that's easy. I just want to make sure that we don't get any more water down inside the hole, which is the very bottom of the V of the hole. And that's where it usually gets really mildewy and just disgusting. So I'm gonna keep going on now that we found that is dry and the motor hatch is dry. I'm gonna bring you guys over and show you guys how I fog it after I put the coolant in. I'm gonna show you guys how I take off the intake here and open up the carburetor. That is actually a fuel inject carburetor right there. So I'm gonna just take off this filter. After I take that off, I'm gonna go outside and run the motor and show you guys how I winterize it with the antifreeze that I put through the motor. That way none of this gets any moisture inside of there to where it will expand and bust your manifold. That's usually what you're going to do, is you're going to bust intake manifold and the exhaust manifolds, and that's where you're going to have your head gasket issues, a lot of other issues. You always want to make sure you change your fuel filter, your oil filter, and your oil every season. I've already done that, changed my spark plugs last time we went out, did all that, did even the transom. You can get where the transom holds oil this far down, but then this much on the top has water, and that will actually expand and crack your transom. So always change all your oils and your spark plugs every year. But I want to take you guys out back, show you how to do the antifreeze, then bring it back up here and show you how I fog the motor. Found that's the easiest way to winterize your boat and make it to where it's going to run at the very beginning of the next season. All right, guys, we're at the transom now. Some of the best ingenuity you can get is I've taken my ear-muff, added a hose fitting to a close nipple, to a 1/2-inch elbow, those are both brass, to a 1/2-inch funny pipe, to a 1/2-inch flex pipe. It's just clear tubing, just so I can see the flow of coolant going in, to another 3/4 inch funny pipe elbow, to a 3/4. So there's a lot going into this, but a threaded nipple or threaded coupler to a slip coupler glued on to a 3/4 inch pipe, mounted onto one of the upside down jugs of a coolant. So this is what I use, the RV Marine -50 degrees coolant. So this is what I pour into it. Cut off the top of this, so that way when I pour it into there, the gravity feeds it back into the earmuffs. That goes and takes it into the transom. The transom takes it all the way up, goes all the way through, and then by the time it comes out, the exhaust up underneath here, and there is a little bit of the exhaust that comes out this end too. Once I see all that flowing, I know I've got it good enough. It's warmed up enough, it's got all the coolant going through it, and we're good to go. I'm gonna kick on the motor. It's gonna get a little loud here, so I may muffle your sound here for a minute, but you're gonna see the whole process. Let's get it done. Right now, all you're seeing coming out of there is clear water. You want to make sure it's all pink. It's pink. I just want to be extra precautious. There we go. We got pink coming out of the front there. That's what you're looking for, is when it's coming out the front. I have that to where it's going to be level. Okay, I'm going to let that hang. I'm going to shut her down, and I'm going to take you guys up top and show you the fogging. All right, guys, now that we got the coolant thrown through the entire system of the motor, everything is warmed up. I can feel the warmth in the motor and the hoses here. I'm just checking to make sure that there is no leaks coming inside here. I already know that I have a leak on my, called the impeller. It brings the water from the transom into the motor, but I know about that one, so I do see a little bit of pink in there. But before the motor was running, there was no water in the bottom of there, so I'm not worried about that. That's something I'm tackling next season. Stay tuned. I'm gonna show you guys how to fix that. But right now, I'm just taking this. It's just got a flathead band wrench. Take that off, and it is pretty tight in there. Once you get that undone, you just pull that off. So what this does is you have to have that on all marine products, anything with a motor with ignition. This is a spark arrestor. So anytime that an ignition happens inside the motor, it has possibility to come through the carburetor. This is a fuel injector. I'm not really worried about that, but this is required for all marine motors. And you want to make sure that you take that, put it in the garage, clean it out with some brake cleaner. It's called Stabil Fogging Oil. Stop corrosion in stored engines. I'm storing this engine. I want to make sure that I don't have any issues with it. So I just got a press top on the top of there, the little foldable nozzle. I'm just going to spray it down inside there while it's running. So I'm going to muffle you guys' sound one more time and get this going through there. I'm going to watch for a little bit of a fog coming out of the exhaust. What we're wanting to do is, what this does is it just puts a lubricant across all components inside there. So it's going to put it inside of your cylinder, your O-rings, everything that has got the compression in there. It's going to make sure that it's lubricated. Next year when we go and put the seafoam in there, cleans it right back out and you're ready to roll. So I'm going to make sure that every part of my ignition system is got a good coating of oil. So let me get that kicked on. Making sure it gets all the way around there. So you got your butterfly valve in there. It's got a little opening for the choke. It's an automatic choke. You can't do anything about that. I'm spraying it directly in the hole and you can hear it hissing at me as I'm going. Too much, stalls your motor. You may notice I'm resting my arm on the exhaust manifold. You can feel both of those. You definitely want to make sure that you're not getting overheated. If I can put my hand on it, you're not overheated yet. And there's my sign. Getting a little warm there. Turning it off. It's getting a little warm to the touch. That's okay. It's not gonna kill you. It's not gonna hurt the motor. But what you're wanting to do is just make sure you get a good coating through all of those piston cylinders and the spark plugs. So now that I got that done, I'm gonna take this in the garage, clean it up. I've got a lot of cleanup to do in here from that water. But other than that, you guys are set for the winter. Do this every time. Change your oil, fuel filter, change all of your oils that you can do, your transom, and you're not gonna have any issues with any water damage from freeze and expansion if you're in the temperatures that we're in. So I caught this early enough, not worried about it. I'm gonna get this done and put it back away. So I'll get this all wrapped up, and as I'm putting the cover back on, I'll bring you guys back. How about that? Okay. One last thing I did want to point out. Before you put this away for storage, make sure you take your positive and negative cables off. Unstrap it and take your battery out and put it on 2x4s or a wood surface in your garage. Something that's temperature control, it's not going to get too cold out there. That would actually leach your battery and ruin it every season. Definitely recommended. Take that out, put it in your garage. Don't leave it in your boat. Kind of like acetone. Won't hurt your fingers. It's been on mine plenty of times. Smells like it too. Use it at your own precaution. Looks great. Put it back in. So I don't have it yet, but I'm gonna be placing my order here shortly. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. This is what I'm gonna buy. This is one I like a lot. I've used it 3 times now, star bright. It's the Ultra Dome No Damp. Can you see that? Ultra Dome No Damp. I'll put the link down below, but this is the best stuff you can ever use. I'm gonna buy 2 of them just because it works so good. You put it down in the hole that, like I told you, the ski locker. I'm gonna put one up there, and I'm gonna put one in the back by the motor, and they're not that expensive. They're 24 bucks, and you can go to your local marine shops. They actually have them in stock a lot of the time, so definitely support local if you can, but if not, click on my link. Okay, back at it today. It's the following day. Last night got a little bit dark, and I finished up the frames. So I built T-frames, kind of like an I-beam. So I've got the 2 long legs on the both sides, a middle beam for the web, and then struts going up to the top all the way down through, cross members. I'm gonna be putting some string across the top of that just to give it a little rigidity on the sides. But these are pretty stout already just by themselves. What I'm looking for is the water came down probably, you know, by bench level. Looked at the water level down here and how everything was pulled up on this bench and down on that floor over there. That was actually just caused from me parking this direction, and it came up on that side as I was pushing it out. It must have came down in. It was really quick, not really too much underneath. You saw under the ski cabin was clean and clear. Underneath this bench was pretty clean and clear. There was just that one container that was full of water. Those are pretty typical for this the canvas that sits on top of this boat, but I wanted to make sure that I kept this frame about 3 to 4 inches higher than normal. So I measured it. It was 38 inches to here. It's up to 44 inches. That one was 44 and a half. I took it up to about 46. So just definitely want to make sure that I take my rope. So I'm going to be doing rope from the rear to the front, and I'm going to be bringing ropes all the way across his ribs coming all the way through. It's going to look like a spider web when I'm done with this, but got everything cleaned up. I think I'm pretty good right now. Let my carpet sit out on the fence drying out. I'm gonna just start stringing this rope and show you guys how it looks after I'm done with that. All right, so what I'm using today is just your standard, buy from Home Depot or get it off Amazon. I'll put a link down below. 1/4-inch nylon rope. Gonna string out a bunch of that, get going from there. All right, watch your feet. Got my favorite tools, sheetrock screws and swamp cooler coolant line. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna cut off probably about a good 2 to 3 inch section here. And I'm just gonna make me loops all the way down here to hold that rope right in the middle. And how I'm gonna do that is just straight through it. Once that gets going, put it on the 2x4 and put the rope in between the 2 screws. All that's gonna do is allow me to keep that directly from here to there in line and allow some slippage back and forth. As you can see, I already pulled on it a little bit, pulled that tripod just a hair, bumped you guys. I'm gonna keep going with it. All right, you guys, so as you can see, it looks like a big old spider web up in there. Take you up a little bit higher so you can see a little bit better. So that was about 200 feet of 1/4-inch nylon rope all the way down, all the way up. One continuous strand, and honestly, I'm pretty impressed with it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take you guys back up to the porch, set you up over there, bring the blue tarp down, and start shrink wrapping it. Show you guys how that's done. All right, guys, before I forget, so this is the No Damp Stay Bright absorber. So that is a dehumidifier. So what you do is you just take that, I'm gonna do this one-handed here, and you take the packet here, you just open that up, pour it inside of the liner here, so that liner separates it from the bottom of the container, and you just pour it inside there. I already have one down underneath that ski locker. I'm gonna pour this one and put it down right here underneath the back bench. That way, anything that's underneath this blue shrink wrap that is moisture wise, you don't want any mold or anything growing down under here. So you're gonna have anything that's moisture wise wicked into that container and put into the bottom of there instead of residing in your cubbies or in your swim towels. So make sure you clean all those out, and let's get that done and put the blue shrink wrap on. We'll see you guys here in a minute. All right, guys, I know you feel like I've been rushing along here. I definitely rushed trying to get this all done prior to tonight is Halloween. We're gonna have a lot of kids coming through here. I want to have this boat off the road and nobody have any incidents with that. But I wanted to point out that I'm using Dr. Shrink. That's the blue tarp laying out there. Let's get that going. But I have Scotch tape in case I blowtorch any holes into it, and I have my handy dandy blue painter's tape. I love that stuff too, just as much as I do the Gorilla duct tape. So I'm gonna hold this in place with this blue tape, and then I'm gonna heat shrink it, get it down on there, and I'm just gonna fast forward through this whole thing and show you guys how I get it on there. Definitely a lot easier if you got two people working this and not a little teeny baby oak tree in your way. Now that I'm happy with the front and the back position, I'm gonna mark my side, taking it down to the white line right there, and just taping it there. I'm gonna go to the other side and do the same thing, and then keep going from there. All right, placement wise, I'm pretty happy with that. Got it on the rear, and then mid quarter. The front gonna be a lot more excess on there, but once we shrink it, I can cut that off with a razor blade. So I'm gonna get my propane and my weed blower, start shrinking it. I'll be right back. All right, so my camera's battery is a little exhausted right now. I don't know how much footage I'm gonna be able to get for this, but for right now, I'm gonna get going with doing the blowtorch. This is just your weed blower. I got this off of Harbor Freight. So it's pretty simple to use. You just light it and let it shrink. But I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to show you guys, so I'm just gonna start on this side. And if I can't finish it up, I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap the rest of this up and then come back later with you guys. So I'm just looking for the shrinking portion right here to be uniform. You don't want to concentrate too much on one spot either. You just want the heat to do its own work here. Let it shrink it up. Got some of my own hair there. All right, guys, so I actually am running out of time here. I got that all heat shrunk, sealed around that. Now I'm gonna go get that cover, put it on top of that, and then go put it back in storage. So just wanted to give you a quick update, and I'll wrap it up here in a minute. All right, there's the final product. Double protection. Can't ever be too safe. So see the link below. I'm gonna put the canvas that I use and how happy I am. I'm actually very ecstatic with that thing. It's been really good. Very inexpensive, honestly, for as good as it's performed. So like, subscribe, and come back and watch the next one.